Does it give you some sense, not of joy, but of relief at least, that he's potentially facing some consequences? Because as you've said before, this guy's a con artist and he's gotten away with it for years.
I'm not calling him, I'm tired of calling him names. He just can't be anywhere near the office of the presidency. It's funny, I was just thinking that he actually became president. He could have done good things. Instead, he had to do it all wrong.
Did you hear about the epic smackdown between Robert De Niro and Trump? It's like watching a classic mob movie, but with more laughs and less class. De Niro's dropping F-bombs while Trump's busy measuring height differences. Seriously, folks, this feud's got more drama than a soap opera. De Niro's calling Trump a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. Try saying that 5 times fast. Meanwhile, Trump's comebacks are about as sharp as a rubber duck. Who's gonna win this verbal boxing match? Stick around to find out. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Alright folks, buckle up because Bobby De Niro just dropped a verbal nuke on our favorite orange-tinted reality TV star turned president. And let me tell you, it was spicier than a ghost pepper dipped in hot sauce. Now, we all know De Niro's been throwing shade at Trump since forever. It's like his favorite hobby, right up there with making classic movies and perfecting his "you talking to me" face. But this time, he went full-on raging bull on Trump's.
We've heard you talk about the former president. You have called him a fraud, a con artist. You've said he's a New Yorker like you, and you have watched this brand of BS. You've played a lot of bad guys. Would you ever play Donald Trump?
Never. There's nothing about him. There's not one redeeming thing in him that I can see ever. He's sick. He is really, genuinely a sick person that somehow has been allowed into our system.
Well, you know, picture this. De Niro, all fired up, probably sipping on some fancy Italian espresso, decides it's time to unleash the kraken of insults. And boy, did he deliver. He called Trump a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. Whoa there, Bobby. That's not just an insult. That's like a verbal multi-punch combo that would make even Jake LaMotta's head spin. Now, why does De Niro's takedown hit harder than a punch from Jake LaMotta? Well, it's not just because he's got that tough guy image from all those mobster movies. It's because he's using big ol' fancy words that most of us need a dictionary to understand. And when a tough guy starts throwing around words like sociopathic and malignant, you know he means business. But let's break it down for the folks at home who didn't major in psychology. Calling someone a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist is like saying they're a self-obsessed, emotionally cold, manipulative jerk who gets their kicks from messing with other people. In other words, it's not exactly a compliment. Now, imagine Melania's face when she heard about this. Was she sipping on her afternoon tea, scrolling through her phone, when suddenly she sees De Niro's words splashed all over the internet? Did she spit out her tea in shock? Or was she rage cleaning Trump's golf clubs, muttering, "I really don't care, do you?" under her breath? We can only imagine how our First Lady reacted. Did she throw a designer shoe at the nearest Secret Service agent? Did she roll her eyes so hard they almost fell out of her head? Or did she just sigh and add another tally to her "days until I can divorce him" countdown calendar? But wait, there's more. De Niro's just getting warmed up. It's like he's channeling his inner Joe Pesci from Goodfellas, but instead of baseball bats, he's swinging words that cut deeper than any knife. He's not just criticizing Trump's politics, he's going after his whole personality. It's like a roast, but without the fun party and the guest of honor laughing along. And let's be real, folks, when Robert De Niro talks, people listen. This isn't some random Twitter troll throwing insults from their mom's basement. This is the guy who played Vito Corleone, for crying out loud. When he speaks, it's like the voice of Hollywood itself is passing judgment. But here's the thing, De Niro's not just throwing insults for the sake of it. He's using his platform to call out what he sees as serious problems with Trump's behavior and leadership. It's like he's holding up a mirror to the presidency and saying, "Hey America, is this really what we want?" So, you think this De Niro-Trump beef is just another Hollywood hotshot taking a swing at the big man in the White House? Well, think again, folks. This feud's been cooking longer than one of Trump's well-done steaks. Let's rewind the tape and see how these two New York bigwigs started butting heads. Picture this. It's 2011 and Trump's got his eyes on the big prize, the presidency. But De Niro's not buying it. He calls Trump's political ambitions a big hustle. Ouch! That's gotta hurt more than a bad spray tan. But our boy Donnie doesn't take the hint. He keeps on trucking, and by 2016, he's got himself a shiny new title, Republican nominee. Now, De Niro's not one to keep his mouth shut when he sees something he doesn't like. And boy, did he not like what he was seeing. He starts throwing shade left and right, calling Trump all sorts of names. It's like watching a real-life version of Mean Girls, but with old guys instead of high school drama queens. But the real fireworks? They came in 2018 at the Tony Awards. De Niro gets up on stage, and instead of giving a nice, boring speech about the magic of theater, he drops the F-bomb. On live TV, twice. And not just any F-bomb, but one aimed right at the President of the United States. You could practically hear the pearl clutching from here to Mar-a-Lago. Now, Trump's not one to take an insult lying down. He fires up his Twitter machine, remember those days, and starts tapping away. He calls De Niro a very low IQ individual and punch drunk. Real creative there, Donnie. It's like watching a toddler try to come up with insults. You're a poopy head. Yeah, real presidential. But De Niro, he's just getting warmed up. He starts getting real creative with his comebacks. He calls Trump a cartoon character come to life and says he's a fake president who thinks he's a gangster. Now that's how you throw shade, folks. Take notes, Trump. This back and forth, it's been going on for years now, and it's not just about two rich guys with big egos throwing tantrums. Nah, this feud has actually shaped how people see both of them. For Trump's supporters, De Niro's just another Hollywood elite who's out of touch with real America. But for Trump's critics, De Niro's like their personal hero, saying all the things they wish they could say to Trump's face. And let's be real, folks, this feud ain't ending anytime soon. As long as Trump's in the news, and when is he not, De Niro's gonna have something to say about it. It's like his personal hobby at this point. Some people collect stamps. De Niro collects ways to insult Donald Trump. So Trump's finally hitting back at De Niro, but his punches seem about as strong as a wet noodle. You'd think the guy who branded Crooked Hillary and Sleepy Joe would have some zingers up his sleeve, right? Well, hold on to your MAGA hats, folks, cause Trump's comeback game is looking weaker than his spray tan. Let's break down Trump's attempt at a verbal smackdown. First up, he goes for the classic schoolyard bully tactic, making fun of De Niro's height. Real mature, Mr. President. It's like he's trying to recreate his glory days of pushing kids around on the playground. But here's the thing, De Niro might be short in stature, but his words are hitting Trump where it hurts. Then there's Trump's attempt at a nickname. Punchy De Niro, really? That's the best he could come up with? It's like he's not even trying anymore. Maybe he should have asked his son Barron for help. I hear kids these days are pretty good with the insults. But wait, it gets better. Trump claims De Niro has Trump derangement syndrome. Talk about the pot calling the kettle orange. It's like Trump's looking in a mirror and accusing his reflection of being obsessed with him. Newsflash, Donnie. You're the one who can't stop tweeting about everyone who criticizes you. And let's not forget Trump's jabs at De Niro's career. He's acting like De Niro's some washed up has-been, when in reality, De Niro's got more Oscars than Trump has bankruptcies. And that's saying something. It's pretty clear that Trump's insult game is losing its edge. Maybe he's running out of steam after all those late night tweet storms. Or maybe he's just rattled by De Niro's words. After all, it's not every day that a Hollywood legend calls you out for being a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. That's gotta sting, even if you don't know what half those words mean. But here's where it gets interesting. Trump's base, usually quick to jump on the Trump train and start hurling insults at anyone who dares criticize their dear leader, seems a bit subdued. It's like they're not quite sure how to handle this celebrity showdown. Maybe they're secretly De Niro fans, or maybe they're just tired of defending Trump's every tweet. You've got to wonder if Trump's weak comebacks are a sign that De Niro's words are getting under his skin. Is the tough-talking New Yorker finally meeting his match in another tough-talking New Yorker? It's like watching two kids from the same block duke it out, except one of them is the President of the United States, and the other is, well, Robert freaking De Niro. But before we declare De Niro the winner of this verbal boxing match, let's remember that Trump's always got another trick up his sleeve. He's like a political Houdini, always finding a way to escape when he's backed into a corner. So while his comebacks might be weak sauce now, who knows what he'll come up with next? Hollywood's not playing around anymore, folks. They've brought out the big guns against Trump, and it's like watching a real-life action movie. But instead of explosions, we've got verbal smackdowns that would make even the Avengers blush. Since Trump first rode down that golden escalator, Tinseltown's been taking shots at him like he's a carnival game duck. But here's the million-dollar question. Is all this celebrity shade-throwing actually doing anything, or are they just preaching to the choir? Let's face it, De Niro's not the only star in this political rodeo. We've got Meryl Streep calling Trump out at the Golden Globes, and Jimmy Kimmel roasting him nightly like he's a comedy rotisserie chicken. But who's landing the hardest hits? Is it De Niro's tough guy approach or Streep's more dignified takedown? Now, you might be thinking, who cares what a bunch of pretend people think about politics? Fair point. But here's the thing, these celebs have millions of followers hanging on their every word. When they speak, people listen. It's like having a megaphone the size of the Hollywood sign. But let's not kid ourselves. Trump supporters aren't exactly lining up to take political advice from the cast of The View. For many MAGA folks, Hollywood's attacks are about as welcome as a vegetarian at a barbecue. They see it as more proof that the elite are out of touch with real America. Still, there have been times when celebrity critiques have actually made a difference. Remember when Meryl Streep spoke out against Trump at the Golden Globes? It was like she dropped a truth bomb on primetime TV. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Trump's behavior towards reporters and people with disabilities. But speaking out isn't all glitz and glamour for these stars. It can be riskier than doing their own stunts. Some celebs have faced serious backlash for their political views. Remember the Dixie Chicks? They criticized George W. Bush and went from country darlings to persona non grata faster than you can say yeehaw. So is this Hollywood versus MAGA showdown helping or hurting either side? Well, it's complicated. On one hand, it's keeping anti-Trump sentiment in the spotlight. Every time a celeb takes a swing at Trump, it's like free advertising for the resistance. On the other hand, it might be pushing some folks further into Trump's camp. When people feel like they're being looked down on by Hollywood elites, they might dig their heels in even deeper. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Sometimes it just makes things worse. And let's not forget about Trump himself. He loves nothing more than a good fight, especially with the Hollywood libs. Every time a celeb takes a shot at him, it's like Christmas came early for his Twitter feed. He gets to play the victim card and rally his base against the out-of-touch elites. But here's the real kicker. While we're all busy watching this celebrity death match, the real political issues are getting lost in the shuffle. It's like we're so focused on the sideshow that we're missing the main event. Well, folks, it looks like the Big Apple's serving up a juicy drama, and we've got front row seats. In this corner, we've got Bobby De Niro, the tough-talking actor with a mean left hook of words that is, and in the other corner, we've got the orange wonder himself, Donald Trump, swinging wild with his Twitter fingers. But let's be real, this ain't just about two grumpy old men yelling at each other. Nah, it's like a real-life reality show where the prize is, well, we're not sure yet. Maybe bragging rights, a lifetime supply of hair gel. Who knows? One thing's for sure though, this feud ain't going anywhere. It's like a soap opera that just keeps on giving. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and get ready for the next episode of The Real Housewives of New York Politics. Because in this wacky world of celebs and politicians, the drama never stops.